Welcome everyone. Welcome back for those who attend on an annual basis. MCK budget presentation. We know return to school is the most exciting time of the year. This may come in second. We're pleased to announce today that once again the Mohawk Council of Kahnawake, through its excellent administrative and financial staff, have come forward with a zero balance budget presented to Council that Council has approved. The release speaks for itself. I think that even though we've said time and time again, and I've been here now for a couple of years, to talk about zero balancing, it's not, I'll say, truly zero balancing at this point in time. We've had to take from operational reserve once again this year to zero balance for 2014-2015. It's becoming increasingly difficult, and I could probably play the tape recorder from years past to say the same thing. We're not poor or destitute or broke. There are still reserves, but this is the first year where we're starting to completely deplete some of those reserves, and they will have to be replenished. There is still money in reserves, and we will be looking at that over the course of the next 3-6 months, as well as into next fiscal year before next budget is proposed. But it's getting increasingly difficult to be able to manage the operations, the service to community, on the same amount of dollars. We need to be reminded every year and remind the community that these dollars are quite old now, from the mid-90s, right after 1990, when the first, what wasn't called multi-year funding agreement at the time, financial transfer arrangement, was done. Those dollars are still what we're looking at today. So obviously the demands of the community have grown and continue to grow on a daily, if not weekly, monthly basis. The operations have grown up until, I'll say, last year, this year, because of those demands from community to provide the types of services that they've been accustomed to and will continue to demand in different areas as well. It's just that this year there's been other impacts, and I'm sure Paul will elaborate on some of those as well, where we've lost some federal funding, and it's finally having an impact on the Mohawk Council of Kahnawake budget. This year, we're proud again to report that it will not affect services to the larger degree. Employees have not felt the pinch in terms of salary cut. There have been some mitigating measures to ensure that we'll try and maintain the same level of service with a little less. In the past, the adage was do more with less. This year, it's more like doing less with less. That's been talked about. We're asking for not only help from staff, but also community to understand that in the coming year. We're not looking to affect services. We are not downsizing, but we are doing operational review in conjunction with comprehensive financial plan that was announced a couple of years ago. It's a continuing road. We face some major challenges this year going into next year's budget. Again, which I'm sure Paul will elaborate on. The bottom line is that, yes, we did zero balance, taking again from appropriation begrudgingly through council. We did it a little bit differently this year in a 3-day, well, 2-day plus a morning presentation at council through recommendations again of finance and administration to take council through the weeds, if you will, the nitty-gritty, and all of the issues that operations has faced coming into this budget. Hats off once again to the operations team, senior management, executive team, 2 people sitting here, also including the 2 others that are not here today, Kevin Kennedy and Richard Basque, who composed the rest of the executive team. The 2 days, I think, was eye-opener for everybody who participated in, including Chief and Council, and we need to ensure that the community has the message that it's safe at this point, but we don't have any new dollars. And without new dollars coming in now and into the near future, it's going to have a major impact on the MCK operations and eventually services to community. They've done a great job again in ensuring that doesn't happen now, but it will happen in coming years if we don't find new revenues. Paul is, I'll say, in charge of trying to find revenues with the help of Chief and Council, Deodanizakta, and any other entity in the community that helps to generate that. We're looking to augment the federal, provincial, and own source revenue dollars that we have that comprise the budget today. it's not an easy task. We tried several initiatives over the past few years, some home runs that didn't get off the home plate, others that will not take us over the hump, but will help contribute. There's lots of ideas in terms of how we're going to try to do things, and again, that's where we're looking for cooperation, understanding, and patience from community, and hopefully involvement as well. So again, I'm pleased to announce that we have come to zero balance budget after much deliberation, discussion at all levels within the MCK, and it took a collective effort to do this, and it continued to be a collective effort on behalf of services to community to ensure that they don't be impacted. So I'll leave it there. I think the message is pretty clear that we are where we are, and it is what it is. You have the numbers, you have the press release. If there are questions after, I'll be pleased to handle them, and with that, I'll give it to Paul.
Well, what else is there to say, right? The budget, it's fairly similar to the way that it's structured last year. The amount is pretty much the same, but that's not because the budget for the community isn't growing. If you look on the expense side, expenses are going to continue to grow. Things cost more money as time moves forward, and the MCK's budget is no different. I started in this position back in December of 2013, so that really was right at the beginning of our budgeting cycle when we begin to put this budget together. So I wasn't looking at making a lot of changes. I mean, my plan of action was to get this budget finalized, to come to a zero balance with the knowledge that we would have to use appropriated reserves again, or alternatively cut services or cut things on the expense side. So the decision I made was to focus on passing a budget that is done through cooperation of Chief and Council, senior management, the operations team, and the employees of the organization. The key information within this press release was given to our employees all the way up to Chief and Council. It's been the same message consistently to show the budget for what it is, and that it's becoming increasingly difficult to balance the revenues that we get on an annual basis versus how much we spend on an annual basis. So that's led to us having to use appropriated reserves to balance the budget for actually a couple fiscal years now. Moving forward, the goal is to have our revenues match our expenses and to have our appropriated reserves be designated for specific purposes within the community, to invest into projects in the community, to invest into the organizations in the community, to ensure prosperity for the community. But as it stands right now, we're using a portion of them to balance our budget on an annual basis. There is some new things that the Grand Chief alluded to. The Comprehensive Financial Plan and the Organizational Review Project are two things that have been ongoing for, I think, the org reviews in its third year now. The Comprehensive Financial Plan's in its second of 3 years. And we're looking at changes to the budget through activities in those two projects and, of course, the Comprehensive Financial Plan. But it's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to be able to balance this budget in 3 months, 6 months, probably not even a year, without some drastic action. And I'm not prepared to take any drastic action, at least for the next 2 years. I'm confident in the org review and the Comprehensive Financial Plan. I'm confident in the cooperation between Chief and Council and senior management to work towards balancing this budget over the next 2 years. But obviously that comes with a lot of difficult decisions and a lot of discussions that may not have occurred in the past that are going to have to occur moving forward. So I don't know if there's much else to say. I mean, the budget is what it is. We've tried to be open about what's contained within the budget. I know the memo is a little more detailed than it might have been in past years. The press release is a little more detailed than it might have been in past years, but I wanted to make sure that the information came across in a clear manner. So.